Scavengers is not a word that most of us would like to be called, yet that's how they're known, as scavengers, contemptuously called that by even the folks, fellow Guatemalans. Those 11,000 people that every day get up and go to work in the dump, looking, hoping, dreaming of finding something, anything that they could sell for $1 or $2 to live for just that day. You know, our church 2 years ago went down with a group of folks, over 20, trying to make a difference, a change in the lives of the people in the dump. And last year, over 40 of us went, hoping to impact at least a week of the lives of the people that live there, of those so-called scavengers. But you know, the interesting thing is, I'm not sure who had the greater impact thrust upon them. The 11,000 in the dump are the 40 plus from Mendham. So come along with me today as we meet some of the folks that traded spaces with the people in the Guatemala City dump. You know, for over 60 years now, people have lived right there on and in that dump. Generations have been born, raised, lived and died right there in that environment. An environment that journalists and many others now have come to describe as a living hell. It's not that romantic being in the dump, if we're honest. It doesn't smell nice. The place is surrounded by flies and buzzards and dogs, if that's what you'd like to call them. And generation after generation now grows up right there, surrounded by darkness and death and stench. So this week we're on the road again. We're going to go out and chat with some of the folks that have had and experienced the life-changing impact of trading spaces with some of those 11,000 people in the Guatemala City dump. Betsy, your brother has spent almost his whole life as a missionary to China, but this was your first missions trip. What makes you one Sunday morning decide that, you know, this is the year, this is the time I'm going to go on a missions trip?
Actually, I started thinking about it more before I went. Brian Davis had been talking about how we were going to be working in the dump and doing all this stuff, and I thought, this doesn't sound like anything I want to do. So I had been trying to think of ways that I wouldn't actually have to work in the dump. And turned out that once we got there, and I spent the first day painting inside. Hadn't been out to the dump. I just was in Potter's house. There was this big cavernous room that we were supposed to paint, and the first full day we were there, I spent helping with the painting, which was just fine. It was not very taxing, but not very relational either. And at some point, I guess that afternoon, we went out to the dump where people were like you were working, pouring floors in the house, and I got involved in that, and I thought, whoa. This is great. This is much more rewarding than painting, and you actually get to relate to the people. And I was actually able to speak to them, which a lot of people weren't. And it was great. And then I didn't want to go back and paint anymore.
We're at the site of one of the 3 buildings that, really homes that we've been constructing. If you look, you can see what they're doing right now is putting on one of the rafters for the roof that they're going to install. Doing these, when we got here, really all that was here was dirt and holes in the ground. In each one of the holes you needed to put one of these posts after cutting it to the right size, and these posts weigh well over 100 pounds, I guess. you'd put up 2 posts, cement them into the ground, make sure they're level, and then you drop these cement blocks in. Each one of these weighs somewhere between 50 and 60 pounds. Each one had to be hoisted up and dropped down because they fit in a groove in these posts. Last night they cut some of the concrete to angle the roof that'll go on so that the rain will run off in one section. This metal stuff right next to me here is the roofing that'll go onto it. Right now they're going to continue roofing, They got these 2x4s which they're bolting together, and then they're either through a groove they've cut in the concrete, or what you see right here is holes, and they're going to drop them onto some of these pins that they put in the concrete posts. So this is one of the 3 we've done. We're going to move around, show you the other 2. They're each in various stages of completion. Menham Hills paid for all the materials that you see here, paid for the workers that are on the site with us, the engineers, if you want to call them that have helped us, and also, worked with us on translation.
I found the opportunity to go was great. I love to travel and I love adventure. And my belief is that Jesus is the ultimate servant, and we get an opportunity to serve, we have to go. And Guatemala was an opportunity. Where do I begin? Even now, I get emotional just thinking about it. It's overwhelming. I don't know if we have the time to really go into it. It's overwhelming. There's no words. I have no words, and believe me, I'm never short of words, as you well know. But it was. I just remember so many things about how they cried and couldn't believe that we were there, that Americans would give up their time and knowing that it's personal time, vacations and a week away from your family, so far away, and to do what we did, which wasn't just standing around being nice to them. I mean, we worked hard, we did dirty work, just being near the dump is overwhelming, but it's just, here these people had nothing and they were overwhelmed by what little we could do.
Betsy, something has obviously captured your heart about this. You've gone down there 4 or 5 times, I think 5 times now. You've been paying for these trips out of your own pocket every time. What is it that has so captured you that keeps sending you back, even beyond our own corporate trips as a church? You're now doing this as an individual.
I guess it's because it's the place where I feel most certain that God is using me.
I've learned that God is real. God is everything that we think He is, and He's full of surprises. I'm 59 years old, and I'm still overwhelmed. I'm still surprised. I learn every day. In Guatemala, again, is just it's an extension of that. I guess it's an intense course. You know, it's kind of like going to college. You know what you're in for, but instead of taking a whole semester, you do it in a couple of days, and it's just an intense course that God is real. There's no question.
When I was down there, I felt really close to God. It seemed like everything in my life was making sense and just seemed to be working out. And I, like Daddy said, I really did love all the people down there.
I guess that the verse that comes to me again and again and again is just from 1 Peter, and it's just essentially that you are held by the power of God through faith into salvation. So it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're in a dump. It doesn't matter if methane gas is coming up through the floor and is threatening your kids. It doesn't matter if you're not safe. It doesn't matter if your health is at risk. It doesn't matter if you're in danger. But you are held by the power of God through faith into salvation. And it brought that to a living and tangible experiential level. And I live with that now, and I'm not so afraid, and I don't care so much what other people think.